Wrestling is a tough business, and Great North Wrestling is the land of the tough guys, Canada's home of strong style wrestling. The Great North Wrestling Podcast is the official podcast of Canada's most popular wrestling YouTube channel, The Hannibal TV, hosted by two-time Canadian champion and former national champion in freestyle wrestling, Olympic trials silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. Trained in the Hart family dungeon, he has over 15 years experience in the wrestling business as a wrestler and working behind the scenes in numerous companies. Hannibal, the Death Dealer, aka the Hannibal TV, lead reporter Devin Nicholson.
So I have on the line here Smith Hart, who is the oldest Hart family brother, I should say. Bret Hart's oldest brother, Bruce Hart's oldest brother. He spent some time booking in Stampede Wrestling. He's even done some booking for Great North Wrestling. He's wrestled in Puerto Rico. He's wrestled in Germany, bunch of other places. But unfortunately, he's fallen on some bad health recently. So I'll ask him right now just to give us an update on his health status.
Hi, Devin. It's nice to hear from you again. You're one of my favorite wrestlers.
Thank you very much. You actually gave me my first pair of wrestling boots that I actually still wear occasionally. They're actually my favorite pair.
Boots, but as I recall, you paid through the nose for them. But I was in rough shape then. I don't know. I forget what I paid for the whole batch of boots. Or ones that people didn't put a deposit down. They didn't collect them in the end. So.
Well, they've lasted 15 years.
Yeah, but they're a nice pair of brown boots, as I recall. And they're big boots. They wouldn't fit most boys.
Well, they've stomped a lot of people's faces in over the years.
Yeah. But I recall you as a big, capable amateur and, a quick learning professional. And you've done some great promotions. I've been involved in some of them. And,
yeah, well, it's always been a pleasure. And you actually did some commentary for some of them, too. And I'm surprised you were never a commentator in Stampede Wrestling, because I got a lot of positive feedback from that television commentating that you did on what a fantastic commentator you were.
Smith Falls
yeah, for Smith Falls back in, I think, about 2011. Greg Valentine was on that event, and we don't have regular television, but Smith Falls is one of the towns where they give us television, and the feedback from the television production people was...
Yeah, that was a wild night of wrestling. I remember chairs being busted over people's heads and profuse bleeding and stuff like that. But anyway, it was a good, legitimate night of hardcore wrestling that I saw.
Well, I try and model this promotion after Stampede Wrestling, Great North Wrestling, but unfortunately, we're still working on bringing the quality of the card top to bottom the same as it was in Stampede Wrestling, but unfortunately we don't have trainers here like your father and Bruce, so it's sometimes hard to find athletes with the same toughness, because in the people coming out of the dungeon were all legitimately tough and actually enjoyed that hard-hitting style that Stampede Wrestling had, but those wrestlers... I guess there's some out there, but they're few and far between these days. But your nephew Harry, who now goes by Davey Boy Smith Jr, was out here last month for our event. He had a big victory over Canada's strongest wrestler, Maximum Testosterone, and he is just becoming better and better, and that's hard to believe because he was already a fantastic wrestler when he was still a teenager.
Yeah. He wrestled in some of the early rodeo shows we did in conjunction with Lions Club out in Rockyford, Alberta. That was run by the Kessler brothers, who supply a lot of the Kesslers for the rodeos. And they're great guys, the Kesslers.
And I had some people comment. I fully feel that Davey would be very proud that he's now using the British Bulldog name, and I know that Harry has even spoken to Dynamite Kid in recent years. So for the few fans out there that find it insulting that Harry has now taken on the British Bulldog name, in your opinion, do you think Davey would be accepting and proud that his son has now taken on the name, or would he feel otherwise? Because I certainly feel that Davey would definitely have been all for it.
Davey would be all for it, 100%.
And back to the health problems you've been having. Obviously, your voice sounds a little weaker than normal. I guess you're under a lot of medication these days.
Oh, yeah, I must take about 50 pills a day.
Oh, my goodness.
And some of them I don't eat hardly. I barely can eat. And a lot of times I vomit as soon as I eat pills or food. Or even taking a drink, I get a Miralox or something like that. And I eventually just lose all the food in me. I just, just dry heaving, just it's uncontrollable.
I've unfortunately seen some pictures of you. I actually saw a nice picture of Bruce, Brett, and Keith by your bedside that you posted on your Facebook page, which is Smith Hart for anyone listening.
Right now, I've got one Devin here of Stu, Bruce, Keith, Smith, all of us, Ian, Owen, all the ones dead or alive. No girls, just all the boys and my father. And it's a nice clear picture. I don't know how, I was thinking of making a print of it and, selling it, and sue somebody or in conjunction with something. I don't want to be too mercenary and all that, but I'm really leaving my kids nothing,
Well, if any fans, do you still sign 8x10 autographs or anything? If any fans want to contact you through your Facebook or anything, is there anything you sell?
Yeah, I sure do. It's hard to connect to the fans, or to reach them to reach me sometimes. I'm not computer savvy, but most fans probably are. And and just passing by, you got something, or give me a picture you took yourself, or you take a picture right on the spot, and you want an autograph to go with it, I'll give you an autograph. I'm happy to do that.
And you also have a GoFundMe or something like that right now that's up on your Facebook.
Yeah, I didn't even set that up, but I think one of my Facebook personnel did that. He's very professional. It's all in the up and up. Because you wouldn't have any part of it. He's a good Mormon like you and I.
So if any fans want to help out, they can check out your Facebook page for all of that information. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but I guess Harley Race fell last week and broke both of his legs, and somehow, he required, I guess, 4 blood transfusions somehow out of that fall. What do you think about that, and do you have any stories about Harley Race? Because I know that he wrestled for your father quite a lot.
I had 4 blood transfusions last week myself.
Was that due to just your cancer treatment? Low blood, yeah.
Yeah, low blood. I'm just thinking about the old Harley. My mother called him Harley Racist. I didn't say no more, but
is it true that he would just he had Canadian license plates, and one of the reasons he likes coming to Canada was because he would renew the Canadian license plates so he could speed in the United States without having to pay his tickets?
Harley Race was a great guy. I love the guy. a total professional. And, he's the type of guy to get your shirt off his back. He really would. Like, he bought a, he was kind of a bit, he'd lose interest in something quickly. Like he had a Grand Am car that was pretty fast, but he was getting tired of it. By the time it was almost still brand new, like 6 months old, he'd already burned off about 4 sets of tires on it and stuff. Getting a little bit tired of it, and he sold it to Bruce and Dean very cheaply. He drove it all the way up from Kansas City to here, and did the deal. And Russell too at the same time. He was always very efficient that way. If he's going to come somewhere, he's going to wrestle at the same time and kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Right.
But it was a good, fast car in its day, and it was new up here. It was brand new first year it ever came out. So, it was a sleeper, in other words, kind of. But Harley he'd come up here sometimes in the middle of being a champion when he could have had a few days off, but he'd want to get a new license because Harley had a very heavy foot, and he didn't like to be stopped at midnight when there's no real danger on the road to speak of, and he wants to speed along a big, wide, open highway. That's the worst thing that could happen is you hit some poor animal on the road, or you do some damage to yourself or the car. But Harley almost had a close call with a truck. It was like added bonus,
Yeah.
And he liked guns, which I'm not saying I like guns. I don't. But Harley often got right through the border with a gun. And
Which you could never do nowadays.
yeah, I saw him one time just loading up a little handgun. He was going to go out and shoot the quail that hang around the house here.
Yeah.
I used to, my old man stopped him and says, those are like family pets. I don't shoot them. So he hardly satisfied himself by shooting, magpies with a 455 Magnum or something. Whatever. It was an extended barrel. I see him one time. He says, "Get those guns over there on the wall or something. Just cheap plastic. They're old, but they're just 2 old muskets cut in half. But, they're not meant to shoot or anything. They're strictly decoration. On a shield or something. And they're real guns at one point, but they were certainly not functional at that point. But, he had a thing about guns and stuff like that, and speeding down the road after a hard match and stuff. That's the Harley Race I know. He often lost his license, so he'd come to Calgary to get,
Get a Canadian one or something.
A replacement license. He just swapped it into another one from a closer state, and then he'd get one for Missouri or something, or one for take the Alberta one and swap it for one from Missouri. Just all he had to do was just show up and say, I'm now living in Missouri and want to switch all my papers over. He'd take care of it. But
that was back before computers.
There's no one he wouldn't put over, and he'd make it look like a contest. Some guys would do it in a very sulky manner that they knew they weren't really, but, you could smell something fishy. He'd put anybody over. Andre wrestled Harley one time. I don't know what happened, but somebody, probably Harley, was really late for the show or something, and Andre was getting worked up. He could easily get kind of worked up, especially if you had a date, you know, and there happened to be a girl named Beth Bardo who was supposedly a distant relative of Bridget Bardo. But Babette had a 52-inch bust, and it was a lot of fun for someone like Andre. She, you know, she was a good-sized girl, but she wasn't, you know, she was well-proportioned. Let's say she wasn't this big with fat, you know.
I've seen the picture. I think she's in the Stampede Wrestling book, isn't she?
Yeah, he has pictures of Harley holding her up in the air and stuff, holding her on and hoisting her up to his, almost to his shoulder and hanging on to his thighs. But I remember when, you know, Andre wasn't always that cooperative. Like, he was a pretty good guy, but one time somebody, he had his picture taken with Trudeau, the former, his son now is our Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. But he hardly already had his wife taken with Mrs. Trudeau, who was pretty nice looking, Pierre's wife,
Yeah.
widow. And then somebody wanted him to take a picture of the monkey. There's a circus in town or something. And the guy was taking his sweet time getting the camera set up. All of a sudden, Andre just threw the monkey against the wall. He didn't throw him so hard that it hurt him, but just hurled him. And said, I know, sweet, you know, get this monkey out of my dressing room. That was sort of funny. But,
what was that story that Brett tells in his book? Is that is that the truth? What Brett writes, that he had heat with Andre in the WWE for a while because I guess you drove at some ridiculous speed, getting Andre back to the airport.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, the WWE, Vince McMahon Sr. had a contract on Andre, and the booking was for Andre starts on such and such, you know, it's for Stampede Week, so it's July 3rd or whenever the shows, the so-called greatest show on earth commenced. You know, there'd be 10 days following of, you know, typical circus and, you know, all that stuff, the music and the rodeos and all the different exhibits and whatnot. So, but he'd start in Calgary on, say, July 3rd or whatever, and then he'd finish in Calgary on July 11th or something. So you'd assume that all the shows are in Canada, but visa expired on midway, like, you know, while he was in one. You know, we had some bookings in different United States.
Yeah, you go to Montana quite often.
Yeah, so by the time, so I wanted to pick Andre up and take him, you know, on my dad's orders, take him to the airport. And I set about my task, you know, when I finally found Andre. He's having a steak and lobster with Babette. And
Babette is the girl you were just telling us about.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he didn't want to go for starters, and secondly, he had the backup of his visa's going to expire, and then he won't be able to get back into Canada for the big money, you know, for the last big, you know, grand finale in Calgary, our biggest town. So I got my dad on the phone, and he said, get him out to the airport, just do whatever you have to do. And he didn't even speak to Andre, which might have helped, I don't know. But finally, I told Andre, you got to do it, you know. So he stabbed his surfing turf with his fork and scrumbled all the way up to his room. Took his sweet time. He left that bet there to kind of just, he had a show that night probably, and he'd come back in a few days and everything would be supposedly normal, but all the while he was protesting that this is a big mistake and Stu's going to suffer the consequences. So I finally, and, he dragged his ass every step of the way, thinking if he could miss the flight, then, until he gets a few days off without his pay or something, without having to work for it. So anyway, I didn't know a cop was following me. It was just basically like an old desk sergeant or something in a gutless old car. But he was in uniform. But he followed me all the way there, but I was left him in the dirt, about 10 miles back. He was just, he kept following the car. Finally, I'm inside customs with Andre, just making sure he gets all the way in. I just barged in. They pretty much shut it all down. And he had his visa and whatever was all intact. But he told me I couldn't come back to it, but, Andre was there, and he's off to lunch, off to, the USA, so I couldn't ask, that's all you could ask, expect of me or him.
Yeah.
So, then we get a call, a few days later, and all the shit hit the fan about it. Now he's in Billings, Montana, and he can't go any farther. His visa's expired. So my old man got Vince McMahon Sr. out of bed, and, did the usual, whatever, just said business is business. We got to get him back in here, just like we got him in there together. It's nobody's fault. Nobody really explained anything before the fact.
Right.
So anyway, it all worked out. But the ride, Andre was sitting in the middle of the back seat and taking up all that space, and Brett and I are in the front, and all we could do to kind of keep the car on the road. It was almost knocking on its side, almost tilting when he took some corners. And I smoked into the departures and, got him going. And he was cursing all the way and holding on to the roof and swearing in French and, in deep, heavy, dark voice, never again, Smith. But I saw him a few times after that. It was all cool. And that's his wicked soul. I like the guy.
What did you think of Chris Benoit? Because I know, obviously, he trained with Bruce. You probably knew him from the moment he started wrestling. Did you ever detect that other side of him that obviously he ended up...
No, I never did, and I still don't. I don't know who the hell I talked to Chris's dad.
Because his dad lives in Edmonton, right?
Yeah, I was in Ontario at the time, and I agreed, concurred with his father that there was something more to it. He played the satanic role, and I don't know if there's anything more to it than that. I mean, I don't believe in satanic anything. To me, it's...
Well, you named your daughter something...
I named my daughter Satania.
Yeah.
It's like a spoof.
Yeah.
On the name. It's like, if I saw Satan face to face, I'd say I'd spit in his face, but I fucking, tell him, I think you're fraud or something, or, I'm going to do what I want to do, and, if you can stop me. If you can't, then, you're really nothing.
And the current WWE champion, Jinder Mahal, obviously I knew him pretty well because he's...
Yeah, he's one of you guys. I just saw him recently. I don't watch the show much because half these places I've been at, the Foothills Hospital at this Star City hospice, and even in the seniors facility, I still have it. In fact, it gave me a month to get my stuff out of there, which is not saying much. I got more shit there than most people have in a whole city block. But anyway, what the hell was I going with
I was
this?
just asking you if you had any thoughts on the Stampede Wrestling alumni Jinder Mahal being
Yeah,
world champion.
I saw it when I saw him on TV the other day. He had great facial expression, which really counts with the WWE, and it's very important. Good expression, good reaction is extremely important in most you know most most sort of renditions of an original event that really was true, but they turned it into a bit of a fictitious Hollywood setup. Jinder, he's got wrestling in his blood. He's second generation, and
Because his uncle
his
is
wrestling is a
Gama
huge
Singh,
sport in
India.
all of India, Pakistan. They love it down there. And,
I'll just ask you a couple more questions for today because I know you're under a lot of medication and you need your rest. Speaking of the people who lived in the Hart house with you, Morrow lived there for a while, didn't he? At the same,
yeah,
I was
Morrow
there.
and
Yeah.
Allo, they're there for quite some time.
What do you think of him? Because
And
obviously he was your roommate. You must have known him pretty well.
he was one of the more gifted commentators with his vast repertoire of knowledge. He would be like a walking encyclopedia. He'd know all the names and numbers and whatever. He knew all the different holes. He never made mistakes about stuff like that.
Because for those of you that don't know that are listening, he was also a Stampede Wrestling commentator along with Bad News Allen back when Stampede Wrestling had its revival, I guess, in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
What do you think of that whole situation with him and JBL?
To me, it's private business. It's not even really meant for public consumption. But it's to me, it's like nobody's all right, nobody's all wrong. But they preach anti-bullying, and here they are conducting it. So it doesn't make sense. But logic doesn't count in WWE. All they care about is selling their merchandise mostly. And the whole thing is like a big engine to kind of just push all the train down. And the whole, 100 cars in the caboose all down the various stops.
And I heard that Bad News Allen, who I just mentioned, was a Stampede commentator. He was Bad News Brown in WWE for anyone listening to this. I heard that him and Owen had some heat for some reason. Did you ever hear about that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Okay. Maybe it's all just rumors, but I know that Brett had written that he was stiff with him in their book, so I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
sure.
he was stiff as hell. He gave, but he didn't like. He was pretty good at pitching, but he wasn't that good at catching.
Okay. I read a story recently that Owen Hart once played a rib on Vince McMahon where he put Henry Godwin's pigs before the hog pen match in Vince's office. Did Owen ever tell you about that?
I heard about it and believe it's true, but I don't remember who I heard it from. It wasn't Owen, but that's about as far as Owen would maybe risk something.
Yeah, because that's pretty risky.
Yeah, like Don Fargo. I don't know if you know him, but
Yeah, I've heard the
he
name.
also was one of the Don Colt. His middle name was. He couldn't get access to Vince Sr. So he got someone to, he's stark naked except for his cowboy boots on. And he's getting someone to swing him hard as they could. He's hanging from several windows up, maybe on the 10th floor. And Vince was a floor or two down. His private, suite for the trip. And people were pushing the rope all the way out there, and Fargo was trying to get enough momentum to kick his way through the window so he could just get some attention. And, all McMahon did was call the police. Fargo never did get his break in the WWE. But Fargo is sort of, you might say, grotesquely endowed, and this bleach blonde, heavily Nazi tattooed, freak trying to kick in the windows of the biggest executive in all the wrestling. All he got out of it was hauled off to jail. But the stories linger, and the person kind of fades away. But I always liked Don, and I was there when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame at the same time as my dad.
You played a rib on the German crowd once in a story that's talked about in many books. Do you want to just explain that? Because I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Well, they ran a show, and they announced at the beginning of the night and even throughout the night who was going to fight the next night. And then the fans would see the angle. If he even had an angle, which often he didn't. And, you could always see who was who and who was going to, win based on, spilling your guts for the next night right in front of all the live crowd that night. But they were like WWE. They didn't care. They wanted their whole thing was booze. They usually have liquor rights, and they owned their own brewery in some cases. So these promoters, calculating promoters, I should say, kind of would. All they did was sell these big, hot, doughy, salty pretzels and these hot breaded fish cakes with, they're hot and spicy. You expect to put a lot of mustard and hot sauce on them. And they'd have something else. I forget what else. I think they had pickles. I think they had all meant to be salty and spicy and, make you buy beer. So they even did a free show for the kids on Sunday. So I'd wrestle 8 days a week there. Sunday was 2 shows. We'd wrestle, and then we'd have a free show for the kids. And, let the kids wrestle themselves while the referee, would be a token manager, referee. And that was the way that works. So I realized that it was kind of a farce. And so I just started playing games in the ring. We'd all line up in a parade. We'd all march in, in a certain order. It pretty much stayed the same, but they'd have new wrestlers coming and going. It didn't have any resemblance to a real tournament where people were eliminated or, anything like that. It was Dynamite night and stuff like we'd have our arms around the ropes, the back of the ropes, and then just as the guy, his name is called out and he's going to bow to the crowd, he'd hook his tights behind his back and just hold him there where he couldn't move. Sometimes we double against the guy if he was a big bastard. We each grab one side, Dynamite grab the other. And the guy would start to march out and he couldn't keep it, That's why he didn't bother trying to just forget about it. Half the time the promoter didn't know what the hell happened. Usually he was just getting warmed up, counting his money and getting a bit hammered. And they traveled in caravans, they call them, like motorhomes. They'd just set up shop there. They'd have portable outhouses. And you paid for all that. You paid 5 cents to piss, 50 cents to shit. Then I also I started growing a mustache, just a big typical hairy mustache like Mick Foley might have, or, anybody, But then on the last night, I shaved the mustache off like a little square postage stamp like Hitler. Even put some shoe polish in it. And I think I put my boots on backwards. Left on the right and right on the left. And whatever way I padded my nuts pretty substantially. And I did the goose step out there, hand raised and all that, and kicking out from the hips like I was a regular stormtrooper. And most of the fans just laughed, but the odd one was, I guess there's some guys that maybe had some connection to, victims of war or the Holocaust or whatever, but, they were screaming. They didn't even really know who to scream to, but.
And you brought up the picture of your father and your brother earlier. Do you have a favorite memory of your father?
Boy, there's so many actually, Douglas. I found a house in Montana that was the former mansion of the Senator Powers' mansion. It's probably on Facebook. It was just a beautiful, big, 4-story granite mansion. It was, the senator, as soon as he retired or died or something, he left it to his son who didn't want it, didn't even look at it, and willed it to the Roman Catholic Diocese. And I came across it, and when I saw it, it looked beautiful in the black and white photo on the cover of the real estate news. But this I'm talking 25 years ago. But that was one memory of Stu's, his eyes lighting up, seeing the gray granite foundation, about 3 feet thick, solid granite, and then the upper foundation or structure of the house was rose granite. And some of the features it had in it, like it had about 6 fireplaces, and each one was carved. It was part of the structure of the house, part of the wall, or inner structure of the wall, and it had all kinds of pocket doors or French doors, whatever you want to call them. And everything was different in that house. It was just about every piece of glass in there was, plate glass, it beveled, and all the fireplaces were different. One might be, onyx, another one might be marble, another one might be terracotta, or not terracotta, but what's that stuff called? Travertine. It's kind of a marble with porous holes in it, like it's by ocean microbes or something. I've seen it in a lot of hotel lobbies and stuff. It's just like another kind of marble, but this place was just loaded with stuff like that. And the balustrades on the stairs going up to the fourth, all the way from one floor to the fourth floor, they were, there's three different ones that repeated themselves, ABC, ABC. But you couldn't even get your fingers in between them. It must have been a nightmare to dust. But there was no cheap shot, nothing cheap in it at all, where they just used, doweling or some stuff like that. I've seen old houses that were restored, and the cheap bastards that bought them put in pine doweling, or maybe at best maybe some kind of I don't know what, fur doweling or something. It's barely hard, but it's just shit wood. But this was meticulously maintained, and all the floors, there wasn't a crack or a squeak or anything, and they were maintained meticulously by the nuns that lived there. And the doorknobs are all filigree brass, and all the floors had parquet edging on it's like Gaelic stuff you see, the wood overlapping itself or whatever. It's all like a lot of kind of weaving or whatever. This one goes over this one, but it was all in the corners of the, that was usually walnut on top of the normal floor, which was probably all the very light oak. But it was just a fantastic house. There was lots of beveled glass and reverse curves on the glass, and circular beveled glass and stuff. You name it, it had it. Even the wallpaper was heavy duty. It was 24 karat gold embossed. The whole house, like, it was 20,000 square feet. It was just beautiful. I can't put it out. I can't. The words fail me. But Stu and I went down there, and basically we talked about these Almond brothers who were friends of the bishop, supposedly, who was pretty senile and didn't like driving. He didn't like automobiles, and he didn't like being driven anywhere. But they found a place, a synagogue, in fact, right next to the proposed building site of the new RC, Roman Catholic Church there. He likes that idea of that, where you could just walk across the street in the area that's a new church. So with these guys, it just happened that the ticket seller there in Helena was married to the guy who did the appraisal on the Catholic on this building on Senator's Hall's Mansion, and she gathered from him. We used to run there like every 2 weeks or sometimes month to month. But she said, let me check into that. And sure enough, when I went back to Billings a couple of weeks later, she said, yeah, he did the appraisal on that and told me that it sold for way under the appraisal. And she told me how much the appraisal was. I said, that's odd. We made an offer of more than that. Something's fishy here. My man was a real astute, kind of hardcore businessman. He would have raised hell about that and, sued somebody. But he wasn't that type of guy. It was like, sometimes you get fucked. And you take your lumps and move on to the next best situation. But that really cheered him up. His eyes would light up to seeing a nice looking Palomino horse or a big work horse. His father, my grandfather, used to have big Clydesdales and big basements and foundations and all kinds of stuff that they used before they had tractors and hydraulics and all that.
So Stu was actually considering buying that place in Montana before it was undersold.
Yeah, if we had had that, no telling where we might have gone. I would have lived down there with my bride, Maria, from Puerto Rico. Maybe she'd still be alive to this day.
What year would that have been? Around probably late 80s, mid 80s?
Yeah, it was. It was early 80s.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. So the Hart House could have moved to Montana and you guys could have promoted more in the U.S. if that had gone through.
Yeah.
I'll stay in contact with you, and I hope that your medication goes a bit better, and at least they give you some better stuff to feel less pain.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the call. I appreciate your friendship over the decades.
Anyone listening, Smith Hart on Facebook, you can look him up there. He will answer some of his messages, so you can message him on there. He has the GoFundMe. If you want to know more about Great North Wrestling, greatnorthwrestling.ca. You could watch this podcast on The Hannibal TV on YouTube or greatnorthwrestling.podomatic.com. Subscribe there. We got Larry Sabisco coming up soon we're going to speak to. We did Billy Graham last week. And did you hear, Smith, that Billy Graham was finally cured of Hep C? He took a new...
Great.
Yeah, they came out with a new medication that's only 3 months with much less side effects than the past medications. So I guess you got the news recently that after 25 years he finally defeated the disease. So.
Well, thank God. God bless Billy.
Yeah. He still has some, he needs a new pelvis and a new knee, but other than that, that's just orthopedic problems. So.
Yeah.
And I'm sure... Mora
was world champion when she was in her 90s, or 80s at least. So maybe there's hope for all of us, Billy and me and you and whoever. But
well, you'll be...
know that. And I'm really glad that's like, an answered prayer, I'm sure.
Definitely, and you'll be in my prayers for sure. And
thank you, Dublin.
If anyone can say some prayers for Smith, I'm sure he'll definitely appreciate it. So thanks again, Smith, and we'll keep in contact with you.
Yeah, thank you. If anybody can, if Carla Duke can say a prayer for me, anybody can, so don't hesitate.
Keep taking that medication, whatever helps with the pain. I can only imagine. I have a lot of respect for you with what you're going through, and you're fighting it like a champion.
Yeah, I'm on a strict regimen of porcupine piss and pomegranate nectar. Anyway.
Well, whatever gives you the vitamins.
Yeah. So anyway, good talking to you, Devin. It's a nice surprise, actually. You feel good. Took a lot of pain away from me, so that's saying a lot, and I appreciate it. Call me anytime.
No problem. I'll definitely check in with you again soon. Have a good evening, pal.
I love you, brother.
Thank you for listening to the Great North Wrestling Podcast. please check out our official website at thehannibaltv.com. For all the latest news and information on GNW, follow us on Twitter at GNW Wrestling, Instagram at GN Wrestling. Subscribe to the Hannibal TV on YouTube for all the latest GNW shoot interviews, match videos, and wrestling promos. And if you like our content, please support us on our The Hannibal TV Patreon page to watch our full shoot interviews, at least 2 weeks prior to them being listed public on YouTube. Our The Hannibal TV Patreon page is only $1.99 per month and is the best way to help us improve production quality and record more shoot interview videos with wrestling legends and MMA stars.